Hey, it's been a while that I couldn't make this review videos, and actually it's been a while that I couldn't make any videos. So it's good to be back and it's good to see you again. So let's jump into today's review session. I'm gonna start with Anatoly from Belarus, who is 18 years old. And he says on this project he was trying to study some type of Hot Wheels style car design. And when I see this 3D model, I immediately feel this proportions and everything is really more like in Hot Wheels. But by the way, I'm a big Hot Wheels fan. I have, I don't know, something like more than 400 Hot Wheels. But I am personally more into the realistic one, like real cars done in Hot Wheels, because I love to collect the small things. But I know what is Hot Wheels style cars, like this super exaggerated wheels and super exaggerated, like almost sketch-like models. So I immediately feel that on your sketch. For my personal taste, it's a little bit too much. But about the goal of reaching to Hot Wheels style, I think it's successful. And here we see another render. By the way, it's a pretty cool render. I would say it looks like a toy, like all these flakes on the metallic color. It's not like on a realistic car, it's more like on this scale model, so it also makes a lot of sense. And you have a lot of details, which is pretty cool. And I want to comment a little bit on design, like the front is a little bit too flat, even compared to rest of the car. Because, okay, we understand that it's an exaggerated car, but this flat nose is a little bit too flat, because I like some kind of, like the pillar comes here to becomes a shot line and then it splits in two and then go in two different directions and everything. I see that there are a lot of actually connections between the details and it's very well thought design in my opinion. Again, like we see all the engine and this lights on the spoiler, it's kind of, there are a lot of cool ideas, crazy things going on, but this front just doesn't match with the rest of the car. And here we see some inspirations. I see where the inspiration of the engine coming from. We see the Hot Wheels here. On the left we have some sketches. By the way, for sketches I would also like to comment a little bit. At the end, you know how to make 3D, so maybe you think it doesn't matter how to sketch, but I would suggest to think more on the sketches a little bit more further, to make more clean sketches, to find the idea in a better way and then put it on 3D, because 3D feels a little bit like a clay model, but not well refined clay model. It looks like a little bit too soft, too undefined surfaces I see. So maybe it's coming from the sketch, because of you didn't have this super clear vision. Maybe also on 3D you lost some parts, but overall when I look at your inspiration, even this metallic flakes, colors and the toys of Hot Wheels, yeah, it works for your goal as I see. Here, by the way, cool background. I guess it's also 3D, right? Looks pretty cool, and also some details on the ground and the car sits well. So good job. Let's see who's the next one. We have Brian, who is 13 years old and live in Netherlands. First of all, for 13 years old, I think it's a good sketch. However, I would like to recommend you to focus more on perspectives. This is exactly why I created my online course for perspective and proportions, the basics of car design sketching, that you can find on my website. So the first thing I would change on this sketch is the perspective. So as you see, I just changed the wheels. According to your perspective lines, I tried to keep, because the wheels and the car talks two different perspectives, let's say. And I decided to follow the car rather than the wheels, so I had to change the wheel angle. If you remember from my other review videos, after we draw this perspective line, we need to draw another perpendicular line to it to create the two axes of the wheel, and then we can sit our wheel on this. And if you want to learn the details, again, you can check out my course on my website. And the next step after this is also changing the volumes and the lines a little bit according to this perspective lines to be sure it sits well with the wheels. Because once we change the wheels, I realized that the rest of the car still doesn't fit exactly. So I tried to not change your design at all. I tried to keep all the lines you have. And I just wanted to twist the body a little bit. And then here is the result. And if you do before and after, you can see what I mean, hopefully. Let's see who's next. We have Daniel from Greece, who is 17, soon to be 18, but he sent me this email more than 3 months ago, so maybe he's already 18, and if it is, happy birthday. By the way, it was also my birthday recently, and you guys sent me a lot of wishes, and I'm so happy for that. I'm so glad, and thank you for this. Back to the sketch. I can say I see the idea, I see your passion and motivation, which is a great thing, but I would like to add a little bit more refinement on your works, because you sent me more than one sketch, and I think in each of them I would like to add a little bit more refinement. The perspective and proportions are getting there. I see that you are close to there. Still there are some things to tweak. So I would recommend you to focus on these basics like proportions, perspective and line thickness type of things before jumping into markers. But if you want to use markers, I would recommend you to spend a little bit more time. Like I see you have 2-3 different tones, like 2 different tones of gray, And the light gray you use, for example, rather than jumping into dark next to it directly to have this super contrasty look, I would suggest you to use this light color multiple times on different areas to make the different tones. So use one marker to create different tones. Maybe it would work better to have a more gradient of the surface. And also on your next sketch, I see like here, without markers, I can say I understand better the surfaces, because here I was a little bit lost what's happening with the surfaces, but here I understand better. Proportions are getting there, but perspective and dynamism, you need to add a little bit more effort on it, but I think it's going well. And on this one again, like the first sketch, the surfaces are a bit lost. Proportions are getting a little bit bulky because of this, I would say, because it looks like a wall here on this area. I know even if you put a little bit of section lines, it looks like a wall, because I really don't understand where is shadow, where is light. It's like maybe like a chrome. Maybe you wanted to make a chrome type of super shiny car, but in that case also you need to be super careful and more precise to make us feel like it's a chrome, because this is something in between. Also for perspective, I will just change a little bit. So I made a quick overlay sketch for you. Here you can see on the back your sketch anyway. And I just changed the Y0 line, the center line of the car, and added a bit more section lines here. And without markers, without any shading, it already shows me better the idea, like what's happening, and the proportions are already more visible. And also, as you see, I changed your wheel positions and the angles a little bit to make the car sitting to the ground in a better way. So my recommendation would be push the perspective and proportions into the next level, and then markers and coloring will be easier. Let's see the next one. By the way, this will be already the fourth one. I think we are going nice and quick rather than step by step every detail I'm showing you like on my previous videos. I just wanted to show the key points of each person, each review, so this way we can get quicker, we can see more people and more mistakes or more things to change, I would say. Now what do you think? Please let me know down in the comments so I can go back to slower version with all the details, or we can keep up with that speed. This one is from Bu Hoang Nam To. I don't know anything about him or her because there's no information. That's why I want you to tell me your age, where are you from, what is your level, like do you study design or not. This type of information helps me better to understand and give you proper feedback on that. Alright, the first thing when I look here, I'm not sure the one above, this black and white photo or a drawing, I'm not pretty sure, because there are people with amazing skills who can do it like photorealistic drawings. I never tried myself, but if it's your work, very good job, very well done, but it's more like an illustration or art drawing. It's not the design point of view. So that's why it's better to look at the below one, because I see it's your design, it's more original, and there are different ideas happening. And rather than commenting specifically on this sketch, I will show also the other ones, because you sent me many more sketches, and let's see what is the common pattern in between. This one is the Ford GT, and the next one we see also another sports car from the same angle, similar lines, a little bit crowded in my opinion. And the next one, again another car from the same angle. We call it the flat perspective because we see to the both sides, like the side and the front of the car from 3/4. Everything is parallel to each other on the perspective, so we call it flat perspective. And on the next sketch I see the same one, and on the next sketch I see the same one again. Here we have some markers, but the idea is the same, the angle is the same. Even the proportions are more or less same. Now the proportions are different and the car changed dramatically, of course, but the size of the sketch feels same. Okay, the wheelbase of each. Anyway, okay, here we have totally different one. Also the perspective started to change a little bit. Rather than the total flat perspective, it started to be a bit more angle if you look at the bottom of the car. On the top we still have the flat, but on the bottom it started to look like we started to see the car from a little bit more upper angle. And on the next one we go back to more or less flat perspective, and you know what I mean? I think you got the point. Like they all have the same perspective, which is not a bad thing. It means that you are mastering this perspective, which is not a bad thing. However, your lines are super crowded. Like I struggle to understand the idea. Like here, when I look at the front, I can imagine which ones are the headlights, but also there are too many lines happening, so I'm not pretty sure if they are the surfaces or if they are your reference lines for yourself, or what are they, or their reflections. It's super confusing. So I would suggest to focus on the most important lines and make them thicker than the others, so this way we can see immediately your idea, your sketch, what you want to tell us. And also the sketch would get more dynamic. By the way, I see all your passion and motivation. That's great to see from many different angles the sketches. Like this one is also, we see an Alfa Romeo here. And this time everything is super dark. Maybe it's because of the scanning or the photo application you use, I don't know. But the problem is the same because all the lines have more or less the same thickness, same darkness, and it kills the dynamism and the 3D effect of the sketch. Plus, it doesn't show us your idea. So I took your sketch here and I just overlaid a little bit. I did nothing. I didn't change the design or something. I just wanted to just lower the opacity of your sketch and made some lines thicker only. We see still your other lines. I didn't erase any of your lines. But when I combine it with thicker lines and the lighter lines, as you see from the first moment, now we see the silhouette of the car, we see the details, we see the idea, maybe not the details, but we see the idea directly, like what is the most important thing here on the car, and then we see the reflections and the surface treatment. All right, let's jump into the next one. Here we have Thomas, or Thomas, I'm not sure. He's from Argentina and 15 years old. So for 15 years old, I think it's also a good sketch, and I see some common mistakes with my other reviews. So I would recommend you to watch also the other videos so you can get the overall idea. Like it's also good to learn from others' mistakes, I would say. By the way, if you watched until here, please just don't forget to give me a like and don't forget to subscribe if you are new in the channel. Coming back to sketch, I would change first to proportions. Now let's take a look. This is your sketch, and on the next one, I just squeezed the car a little bit down. Also, of course, I changed the opacity, but what I did is I just squeezed it from top and bottom so the car gets a little bit longer and lower already. And the next thing I do is refining more the volumes, because back to your sketch, I'm not pretty sure what's happening here, if there's any character line or if it's just a volume like this, or what happens behind this big muscle. Like if it is a big muscle here, then what happens? Is it like a dramatic going down or not? Because here on the other side, what I see is the muscle comes here and more smooth, gently goes here and then creates the windshield area. So the right and the left muscle lines are a little bit different. So on my overlay sketch, I wanted to change it a little bit. As you see, your muscle was here, so I took the middle line rather than the ending line of the muscle, and I just copied it more or less here. So the silhouette of the front muscle, the shoulders are same. And then I added this section line to show how it works. So this way, we show in a better way these volumes of the car, which is super important. And for the rest of the sketch, I really like the graphic you did here. I think it's pretty cool and very original, because the silhouette of the car creates here the shot line and then becomes also the air intake and then goes to front somewhere. I can imagine it to be very clean and very nice graphical element of this car. And about the sketching skills, rather than creating that many hairy lines, let's say, I would recommend you to do more clean lines and less of a drawing style. You can learn all these things from my online course and see the details in my website. And you sent also the side view. I would also recommend more or less the same thing. First of all, make a clean sketch, and proportions here are better, but because of some volumes are missing, it's hard to understand. But I see that you are not just copying existing cars, you put your own ideas, you search for the ideas, which is very, very important, because you can learn how to sketch. I mean, you can also learn how to create new ideas, but learning how to sketch, in my opinion, is easier than pushing your creativity. So you already push your ideas and find new stuff, find new aesthetics and graphical elements and proportions. So just keep on pushing. All right, let's see the next one. We have Yash Yadav from India, 17 years old. First thing I feel your sketch is, it's like a very, very quick doodle. Like you didn't want to spend time, you just quickly did it. But it's good. It shows the proportions, it shows the idea, more or less. I mean, it shows the concept of the car, not the whole idea or something. But it reminds me here a little bit more like a muscle car, cabrio muscle car, with big wheels and big shoulders and stuff. But because of the sketch is too quick, I'm not pretty sure. It's not even a sketch, it's more like a doodle. I do every day a sketch on my Instagram. That's kind of like a challenge for me for this year. That's why I do sometimes very quick sketches, because sometimes I don't have time and I just want to do something quick. But if you want to get a review, if you want to get feedback, if you want to show your work as a portfolio, I wouldn't recommend to show that quick sketches alone, because you sent me only one sketch and it's this one. So I cannot judge your skills or design approach by only this sketch. However, the proportions are pretty cool. So I would only recommend you to spend more time to refine the lines, to refine your design. For example, I just took your sketch, just overlaid it, nothing much changed. The proportions not changed much, but only the nose I made it longer because here seems like it's super flat. By the way, it can be. If you had more refined sketch, I would understand it if it's because of the angle you look at the car or if it's the proportions, but I don't have enough information on this sketch, so I decided to extend the nose a little bit to have more round shape on the front, and the rest is only about refinement and changing the line thicknesses. I didn't even spend much time after your sketch. Like, I took it and I don't know, maybe a couple minutes, and we already have a better self-explaining sketch, I would say. By the way, if you'd like to get one-to-one video call with me, it is possible, and you can see the details on my website. But if you want to get a quick feedback on these review videos, you can send your work to berkmydesign@gmail.com. There are a lot of submissions there, so I kind of randomly pick. I cannot even check all the emails, unfortunately. However, I would recommend you to watch also the other review videos to learn from others' experiences. It's always good to learn. See you in the next video.